said, our guest is Ibikunle Akinyemi. He is an agribusiness entrepreneur. So good to have you join us in the studio.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure.
You're wearing green. I'm not surprised. You are a farmer. So what are we talking about?
Yes, green is the color. And even the way it is, the founders of the country also saw it fit to include green in the national flag of the country, which means that agriculture forms the bedrock of whatever progress we're going to make as a nation. And the earlier we realize this, the better for us.
You know, it's a good point you just raised there. Nigeria used to be very known for agriculture. It was the bedrock of the nation's economy in the 80s, during independence. You had things like the groundnut pyramid in Kano. You know,
the cocoa fields in Ekiti, Ondo, Osun. You have the rubber plantation in Delta and in the Edo belt. And then you have palm oil in the east. But
what happened?
Every one of us wants to do white collar. Everybody wants to be tech bro. But you see, the funny thing is, there is even tech in agriculture. An example is the country like Netherlands. They have one of the most sophisticated agri-technology infrastructure in the world. Netherlands is smaller than Lagos State in size, but they're the second highest producers of vegetable in the whole world. So it's not even about you also having the land size. She made allusion to it in the introduction. It's about also deploying technology to serve the people, to serve the ones who also are practitioners, the one who also consume. So there is technology that can play in the entire value chain across all the different places where you're talking about logistics, you're talking about fulfillment, you're talking about the farming practices itself. But unfortunately for us, fantastic policy from government, implementation then becomes problematic.
You know?
All right, so let's start off. You are into the agribusiness.
Yes.
And with the current economic situation, I mean, food price hike, we will still get to that. But the major one is flooding, which is really affecting more than 23 states. As at this morning, 1 million people are affected. Some people are even sleeping on the streets in Borno and all that. How has it been? How have you been thriving in the agribusiness?
You know, towards the end of last year, and I guess early this year, there was a slang in the country, no grief for anybody. So if you are going to thrive in the industry, you should know that it is not a sprint, it is marathon. It might not pay off in the beginning, but if you are consistent, it will pay off. So I belong to a family of like, I'm like the third generation of farmer in my family. My grandfather was as rich as he could afford to send my dad and mom to England in 1960 on the back of a cocoa farm in Aramoko in Ekiti State. So it's not, what I'm doing right now is not alien to me. It's in the family, it's in the blood. And I remember growing up in the late 70s and the early 80s. We didn't have to go buying anything from the market. My mom had a small garden at the back. And so you remember in those days, on Sundays, that was the only day you had bread and egg and the rest of them. And she goes to her farm at the back and pick egg from her chicken because she knows that the chicken will not be able to hatch all of the eggs. So she picked. And we're living as an extended family, like 20 of us. And the eggs from the chicken will feed all of us, and we go to church to come back in the afternoon. So,
and on Sundays you had chicken meat as well?
Yes, of course, with your rice in the afternoon, which is common knowledge. But right now, you find out that you build a house in the city center, and then you use interlock or stamped concrete to cement the entire place, rather than you just leaving a portion at the back of your house, that where you can also do a little bit of farming. I have a friend who lives in Opik that I advised at the beginning of the year, just put sand in plastic buckets and in Ghana must go bags. And he's planting yam. He has about 100 stand of yam now. So himself and the family are not going to buy yam in the next 1 year.
And in plastic bags?
In plastic bags. These are some of the things that you can also do. So I say to people, you really do not even need to go to the farm to go and farm. It's about you also understanding the little things that you can do within your house and your environment to also begin to make food available for yourself.
I'm glad you brought up this topic. It's not about going to the farm, because farmers have been crying about insecurity, how bandits, especially in the north, are stopping them from going to the farm. Yeah, but you say you mustn't go to the farm.
You don't have to.
Not everybody has this information that you just gave now.
There is a technology, you know, we're talking about deploying technology. There is a technology in agriculture, hydroponics, aeroponics, where you know, there are some of us, I remember the first flat I got in Ogba at the time, and when I started working. One room was just basically empty. I took a 3-bedroom flat. I was a bachelor. One room was basically empty. And I have people in Lagos and in Ibadan, Abeokuta, as we speak right now, who are also in that kind of situation. You can convert that one room into an hydroponics or aeroponics farm.
Explain that.
Okay, now. Okay, it's you don't use soil for your agriculture. All you use is water, and then you need light, like this kind of light that we have in the studio. And even the plants grow faster because there is 24-hour light. Wow. So all of your nutrients for the plants comes through the water. So your fertilizer, your herbicide, everything you deploy using the water, using your pipe that connects to the roots of those plants. And you discover that you can grow cucumber, you can grow tomatoes, you can grow lettuce. Those ones are even very good for lettuce. And rather than the cycle for like a tomato is 90 days. You can short circuit that process to about 60 days. Wow. Because there is, you know, constant plants sunlight. Need light. So the availability of light all day long and night long makes it faster for them to grow. And you imagine if you have a 15 square meter room, that if you're doing vegetable using that process, there is no telling the amount of money you can make in a year.
So your room in Ogba, which you converted to?
I didn't convert. I was saying that at the time I didn't know.
Oh, you
but
didn't
now
know?
I know.
Oh.
So if I have that kind of opportunity, I'm just saying that for people who are in that kind of situation now, you know, you raise the question of not going to the farm. You don't necessarily need to go to the farm. And even, I took a few of my friends to Shakpade, where we have one of our farmlands during Ileya, and they were amazed. Shakpade is 30 minutes from Lagos, and the lands are cheap. The lands are cheap, the lands are fertile, and you don't even need to buy 100 hectares. If you're doing certain type of agriculture, you don't need large land. If you're doing vegetable, for instance, you don't need large land. You can start with half an acre. Yeah, you can start, which is 3 plots, and begin to grow. In fact, I'm an advocate of you scaling up little by little, so that when you fail, you can fail forward.
I like this new modern agricultural practices and technology, but can you share with us, I like the one that you just mentioned right now, whereby you can have just water, you know, and regular light. What other techniques or technology can be applied?
There is aeroponics as well, which is a combination of you using a little bit of water. So there are all those kind of technology that you can deploy. Like in our farm right now, we have screen house.
What's
so
that?
A screen house is, what a screen house is an hybrid between you doing the aeroponics and doing normal agriculture. Okay. So, but it's in a controlled environment. So it's like you're doing your agriculture from a laboratory. So it's covered. So I'm sure that when you travel out of Lagos once in a while, you see some structure that are like polythene.
Yes.
So those are screen houses, but most people call it greenhouses. But they are, you can interchange the word. So they are screen houses. So what that does for you is it provides you with an opportunity to manage your risk within the structure. So rather than you just doing open field, so when the rain comes, it beats your plant as it likes. When the sun comes, it gets too hot. You then provide that structure for it. You feed it directly from the tank. The water that comes from the tank feeds it. You feed your your nutrients through the water as well. So everything is controlled. And even your insecticide, you can also do that using your water tank. But what you do is there are separate tanks for each of the things that you're trying to do so that there are no contamination here and there.
It sounds interesting.
And so let me now, the place where it gets more interesting is if you do an open field, for instance, if I do an open field habanero, which is atarodo, like we all know, in the open field, same plant, same producer who produced the seed. Outside, I might be getting, for instance, maybe 500 grams per stand. Wow. On the inside, I will be getting like 3 kg per stand.
So you just answered my question.
Hold on,
I was going to ask the quantity. How? Yeah.
Let me now, where our screenhouse, where we're doing habanero, we started harvesting in April. We're still harvesting till now. Wow. The one that we did on the open field, same time, we ended it at the end of last month. It's fine. 4 months of you harvesting consistently on the open field. But for the one in the screenhouse, I can continue to harvest for 1 year.
Are you kidding?
Yes. So long as it gets regular water and regular fertilization, it will continue to produce for you.
So the profit is more?
Yes, the profit is more. The life of the plant is prolonged.
How about the quality?
It doesn't depreciate.
All right, so it brings me to a question which I want to ask now. Food scarcity.
Yeah.
What is happening? Yam used to be my favorite. To get a tuber of yam these days is almost a luxury. Plantain, it's almost a luxury. Pepper, let's say tomatoes is coming down, sometimes it's fluctuating. But what are the factors that led to this sudden food scarcity and hike in food prices?
You made allusion to it. In the past 3 years, there has been constant flooding in about 23, 24 states in Nigeria. Insecurity in the northeast, which is where majority of our food is produced. Northeast and north central accounts for, so you have Benue, you have Niger, and then you have the guys in Zamfara, in Borno, so Zamfara, you can't go to farm, Borno, you can't go to farm. So those are some of the things that account for it. And then infrastructure is also a function of why there are food scarcity. If you're bringing pepper or tomato from the north now, before it gets to my 12, 26% of that is wasted.
Wow.
Yeah, it gets in the rain, it gets in the sun. The guys who collect toll, all these local government, state government guys can delay you for 1 hour, 2 hours because they say you don't have this, you don't have that by way of certification. The quarantine guys will also, police will stop you, army will stop you. And so before it gets to Lagos, 26% of the entire thing is lost. So the guy who has worked for 7 months to bring those things to Lagos, the loss that is incurring, by the time it gets to my 12, is also going to mark it up so that it doesn't go out of business. So you talk about infrastructure, you talk about security, you talk about flood. And then for us in the south, fertile land all over the place, everybody now also wants to do white collar. So, and unfortunately, for me, the biggest problem in the midst of all of this is the government's commitment to helping farmers.
Yeah.
The agri sector in the United States is about the second largest after tech and entertainment. But they give them massive, massive amount of subsidy. So when governments spoke about removing subsidy, the guys who should be getting the subsidies are the farmers. Unfortunately, the portfolio farmers are the ones who get the subsidies.
Portfolio farmers.
Yeah. So those are the things responsible for, and by and large, okay, there are other 2 factors as well. Climate change.
You know, let's talk about that a little bit because we're wrapping up. In Benue State, Benue is supposed to be, it is the food basket of the nation. And not too long ago, we heard there was no rainfall in Benue. What do you do in a situation like that?
No, I advise some of my friends who are about going into agriculture, whatever you do, don't rely on the natural elements. If you want to be an investor in agriculture. It took us, as of December when we were digging a borehole, I think we spent about 4 million. Because an industrial borehole that can give me between 50,000 to 100,000 liters. So I'm not, if I show you a picture from our farmers yesterday, you'll be amazed. Everywhere is green. The land is green. So we've only had rain for 4 months this year. You know, it came mid-August, and now the thing has stopped again. It rains in Lagos, it doesn't rain in all those places where we need rain. It's very funny. So you talk about climate change, and then the last one I wanted to speak about, I can't remember. Right? Yeah, so, but maybe before we round up, I'll remember. So those are the things responsible, basically.
All right, so in less than a minute, this new technology that you've talked about, have you considered partnering with the government? And also, you made mention of people wanting, you kept on mentioning white collar. So how can we encourage the youth, the Gen Zs, the millennials to go back to farming? You said everybody wants to do white collar job, but from your analysis, we can see that you've been making a whole lot of profit, even more than what you'll be getting from white collar. How can we encourage? How can we bring back that farming culture?
That was what I was saying at the beginning, that look, it's about you not closing your eyes to what is possible. The place in front of your compound, between the road and your compound, there might be, like in my house in Ogudu, there is a small place. I am deploying Ghana Must Go bags now. I'm transplanting habanero, bell pepper. And that bell pepper is 4,000 naira per kg. Yeah. So imagine if I have 200 stand of that bell pepper and it does well, and it gives me a kg per stand. That's 200K. If I give Madam that at the end of the month, I would be free a little bit. Yeah. And the place is, they're wasting. So, and then there was someone that I met about 4 years ago in Lekki Phase 1, 2 plots, deployed technology. It was growing sunflower. Exports.
Wow.
It was growing sunflower. As in, he has greenhouses, the place is covered. You won't even know.
You know, Yemi, we could go on and on and on. Yeah, but this thing, we need to do a part 2 because awareness needs to come in, right? How can you educate youths and women? Are there women in your field, in your
yes, of course.
Major players?
My partner is a woman.
Fantastic, I like that. All right, on that note, we'll call this wraps. But you've been brilliant on the show.
Very much.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, we do hope when we ask you to come again, you say yes.
I'm always available.
Fantastic. All right, we've been talking about agribusiness and food security, ensuring access to food in Nigeria. Our guest has been Ibikunle Akinyemi, and he is an agribusiness entrepreneur.